According to Ad Age, 75% of online content consumption will be done through mobile devices by the end of this year. So how can more companies take advantage of that massive reach, massive audience? Joining us now to discuss is Scott Swanson, CEO of Aki Technologies, a company that deciphers a user's mindset to enable delivery of advertising on mobile devices at the most optimal time. That's a lot that you're doing. So try to break that down for us a little bit in terms of your main focus and how you actually get there.
Well, the biggest difference between mobile advertising and television advertising or radio or print advertising is that a mobile device is with you through all the different moments of your day. And Forrester reported that there are 200 what we call mobile moments that occur in any kind of average user's day. Millennials may be a little more, older people may be a little bit less, but about 200 on average. And if we pick up our phone 200 times a day, there's lots of different opportunities for brands to engage with consumers in those moments.
Yes, marketers call that the customer journey throughout their day.
Exactly.
So I guess when you're visiting with them on their customer journey, are you at every single one of those 200 moments, or are you in only specific moments?
Well, not all of them are marketable. So some of them might be you checking your calendar or your mail app or your text messaging, app or something like that. So there may not be an opportunity to engage with the consumer with a brand ad in sort of those messages. So really, if you think about those full 200 mobile moments, there might be only 5 or 6 in every day that a brand can communicate with the consumer at. And those are the ones we really want to try to understand. Are those moments when people are more receptive to advertising, or is an advertisement going to really rub them the wrong way, or is it not relevant for the experience they're having at the time?
Well, let's dive into how you guys get a lot of the data and information that you get for your clients.
Yeah.
You guys use machine learning to identify what ad will deliver the strongest results to your clients.
Yeah.
How is that different than, other data from another person that might give that to you?
Well, mobile devices are like these amazing beacons, and there's lots of different apps that transmit lots of fantastic data. Some of the data that's really useful for us are things like location currently, where are you now? Location history, where have you been? What apps are you using? How long have you been using them? Those things really tell us a lot about the mindset and the psychology of a person when they're using a mobile device. And more we're finding that people really will have a much better experience with a mobile ad if you take those things into consideration.
And of those moments that you're trying to nail down, how do you determine what they are? How do you market them? And let's take Taco Bell as an example. How did they figure out what those 5 key moments are and how to market to those moments?
Taco Bell was introducing a whole new breakfast line, right? So they were really excited to try to get people in store early in the morning, and they realized that they couldn't just do kind of traditional spray and pray type marketing models. It was really important for them to reach people in their morning commute hours and at the kind of the first, what we call first impression of the day. When you grab your phone off the table, your mind is still kind of open, and that's what we would call a receptive moment. That's a moment where you're not cluttered with lots of things going on, and it's a great time for brand building and building awareness about a new line for Taco Bell.
Was that what Taco Bell was doing wrong in their previous marketing campaigns before they went to you guys? What were some of the things that you changed and fixed for Taco Bell from their previous time?
Well, that was one of the things that we did for them. We helped them find that first impression in the moment. We got them on the morning commute. We worked with them on audio ads for people who commuted. And we worked with them on commuting times as well. Previously, they had been using outdoor advertising, sort of billboards, traditional television advertising, where you can't get as micro-targeted as you can with mobile.
But are those even still effective anymore? Old school billboards?
Absolutely. They're definitely part of a good, strong marketing mix. But we're seeing a huge trend right now. Digital is expected to pass TV, traditional TV, this year for the first time. It'll be about 51-49 in terms of ad spend. And then we're expecting that mobile will surpass desktop advertising for the first time this year.
And speaking of mobile advertising, it accounted for about 51% of all digital ad revenue last year. That equates to about $37 billion. Of that $37 billion, what piece of that pie are you going after? What's the market opportunity for what your business is doing?
So we're looking at that part of the pie. Currently, 85% of digital ad spend goes to Google and Facebook. So really, myself and our competitors, we're fighting over that extra 15%, but it is tens of billions, right? So there's still a great amount of opportunity for us.
And what are you doing differently than some other startups? You just received about $4 million in seed funding. So
Yeah.
what are investors excited about for you specifically?
Well, for us, it's really about the machine learning and artificial intelligence. That's what makes this whole thing possible. The signals that we're ingesting could never be understood by a human being. So we're trying to ingest all these great data signals, and we're going to take it to all forms of ways of people to talk to brands and to communicate with their consumers. Primarily, we're starting with kind of display advertising and video advertising in mobile, but we think there's applications for email. There's good times to reach people with an email or not, right? There's good times to reach people with a push notification or not.
How important is interactivity with mobile ads to getting the message and the point across? Is that why mobile ads are so much more effective than other forms of advertising, is because they're interactive?
Well, there's so much more you could do with a mobile ad, right? There's so many different applications for how to engage with it. You can turn the camera on, you can take a selfie inside of the ad and see yourself in a travel destination. You can shake the ad and have it activate and do cool things. Things that you could never do with advertising before. So that's one of the reasons we call this kind of advertising sometimes interactive advertising.
But the screen is smaller too, so how does that limitation affect what you can actually do?
Yeah, so we have to be a little bit more careful with the things we do. We view interactions that occur as engagements that occur as a result of an invitation, right? So the banner ad itself that you might see kind of at the bottom of an app is really the invitation to engage more. And if someone does, that really indicates a high level of intent.
In a previous segment today, we talked about television ad rates are still doing well. They're still making tons of money on television ad rates. But of course, like you've mentioned, mobile, and this is basically the graph right here of showing the difference in terms of how much television's gone down,
right.
But how much they're getting charged per spot is still a lot. When do you think it's going to be, how long do you think it is until television advertising becomes as obsolete as a newspaper advertising?
Well, I think we're going to have multiple screens, right? And today we have people that use a tablet or a phone, and they're watching TV and they're using this. They might even have their laptop open. I don't know if you guys can relate to that,
Yeah.
but you might have multiple screens going at the same time. So I think the media mix will change, but where television has really been the dominant force for advertising for decades now, we're now going to start to see, it's interactive between lots of things. And the advertisers are really asking us to see if we can coordinate all of those together so we can do sequencing of messaging.
If we were to rank the different types of ad rates right now, you would be able to see a difference, a decline from screen size, I think. I hate to say it, but size here matters when it comes to advertising because you've got movies that command much more of an advertising revenue for franchising, and from theatrical releases to TVs to desktops still commands higher ad prices than mobile phones do. At what point might that switch, or does that not matter? Do you think interactivity at one point will be more important than screen size?
Well, advertising is traditionally priced on a cost per thousand. So how many times a person sees it, whether it's cinema or television or internet or mobile, it's all cost on a cost per thousand basis. I think that's really not the best metric, to be honest with you. I think the metric really should be time spent. If you see an ad and you move off of it quickly, maybe it's a bus just driving by.
Or digital billboards
a billboard.
are now, right.
There's value for that. It gets into your brain. It might influence you a little bit, keep you top of mind for a particular brand or service. But if you spend several minutes with an advertisement, if it's integrated into a sponsorship or something like that, that's worth a lot more. So I think we're going to start to see more and more cost per time type pricing. And I think that will really be dependent on which medium is able to do a nice value exchange with the consumer for saying, here's some great content for you in exchange for this sponsorship.
While we have you, tell us any other mistakes you're seeing other ad agencies or people do in terms of their advertising.
Well, I think probably the biggest missed opportunity is not putting enough time into creative development for mobile. So if you're a creative person, you probably get really excited about designing print ads and television ads. Those are kind of the sexy, big, ads that you can do. And mobile screens, as you said, they're smaller, but as a result, they end up being an afterthought. And there's so much potential and so much opportunity to do really amazing things that have never been done before on the mobile screen. And if we keep in mind that that's where most eyeballs are, the most time spent is now on that smaller screen, we have to put time there.
Right. Also, I feel like it's also more intimate because it's so much closer to your body than a bigger screen would be. But.
Yes. People say it's an appendage now.
It is mine.
Definitely. Scott Swanson, CEO of Accu Technologies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.